On a quiet, misty morning, an elderly man named Richard sat alone on his wooden porch, his gaze lost in the rolling hills that surrounded his secluded cabin. His life had slowed down in recent years, marked by solitude and memories of a vibrant past when he had been a renowned wildlife photographer. But a tragic accident had left him unable to walk, confining him to his wheelchair and a quieter existence. Then, one fateful day, something extraordinary broke the monotony. A magnificent wild stallion appeared out of the fog, its mane shimmering in the pale sunlight. The horse's presence felt almost ethereal, and Richard's heart raced as their eyes met for the first time. Little did he know, this chance encounter would set the stage for a tale of redemption, resilience, and an unbreakable bond. Richard had moved to this remote valley years ago to escape the bustling city life and the constant reminder of what he had lost. His cabin walls were adorned with photos of wild animals and breathtaking landscapes he had captured during his prime. But the camera now sat untouched, gathering dust, much like the spark within him. His only company was his loyal dog, Max, who often lay by his feet as he stared out at the untamed wilderness beyond his porch. Life was predictable until that horse arrived. The stallion first appeared at the edge of the forest, its muscular frame silhouetted against the morning light. Richard froze, unsure if his eyes were playing tricks on him. Wild horses were rare in the area, and this one was unlike any he had ever seen. Its coat a rich chestnut, its movements graceful yet cautious. The horse took a few tentative steps closer, and Richard, barely breathing, whispered, "What brings you here, my friend?" Max's ears perked up, but the dog stayed still, sensing the gravity of the moment. The stallion's eyes seemed to lock onto Richard's, and for a fleeting second, it felt as though they understood each other. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the horse turned and galloped away, leaving Richard with a sense of wonder he hadn't felt in years. Over the next few days, Richard couldn't stop thinking about the stallion. He found himself wheeling out to the porch more often, scanning the horizon for any sign of the majestic creature. Max, too, seemed to share his anticipation, often staring out into the distance as if expecting their visitor to return. And return it did. This time, the stallion ventured closer, its powerful frame almost within arm's reach. Richard, heart pounding, extended his hand slowly. "You're not afraid, are you?" he murmured. The horse flared its nostrils, breathing in his scent before stepping back cautiously. Richard smiled, a flicker of hope igniting within him. He decided to leave out a bucket of water near the edge of the porch, a small gesture of welcome. Over the weeks that followed, a routine developed. The stallion, whom Richard had named Blaze for its fiery coat, began visiting daily, drinking from the water bucket and grazing nearby. Richard started talking to Blaze, sharing stories of his past adventures and the dreams he once had. "You remind me of who I used to be," he said one morning, watching the horse's mane ripple in the breeze. Blaze seemed to listen, its ears twitching at the sound of Richard's voice. For the first time in years, Richard felt alive, as if Blaze had reignited something within him that he thought was lost forever. But not everyone shared Richard's fascination with the wild stallion. A local farmer named Samuel, whose land bordered the valley, warned Richard about the dangers of letting a wild horse linger too close to human habitation. "They're unpredictable," Samuel said gruffly, "and if it starts causing trouble, the authorities will have no choice but to intervene." Richard's chest tightened at the thought of Blaze being captured, or worse. He resolved to protect the stallion at all costs. One stormy evening, Richard's fears were put to the test. Dark clouds loomed over the valley, and rain began to pour relentlessly. Blaze didn't show up that day, and Richard couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The next morning, as the storm subsided, he spotted Blaze limping near the tree line, its coat muddy and its movements labored. Without hesitation, Richard wheeled himself closer, his heart aching at the sight of the injured horse. "It's okay, Blaze," he said softly. "Let me help you." Despite his limited mobility, Richard managed to tend to Blaze's wound, cleaning it with care and wrapping it with what supplies he had. The trust Blaze showed him during this vulnerable moment solidified their bond. However, the news of Blaze's injury spread quickly, and Samuel paid Richard another visit. "This has gone too far," Samuel said sternly. "The horse is a liability now." But Richard stood his ground, his voice unwavering. "He came to me because he needed help. I won't turn my back on him." As Blaze recovered, Richard knew the time would come when the horse would have to leave for its own safety. With the help of a local wildlife organization, he arranged for Blaze to be relocated to a sprawling sanctuary several miles away, where it could live freely without the threat of capture. The day of Blaze's departure was bittersweet. As the horse stepped into the trailer, Richard whispered, "Thank you, Blaze, for reminding me of what it means to truly live." Weeks later, Richard received an invitation to visit the sanctuary. When he arrived, His heart swelled with joy at the sight of Blaze, now thriving among a herd of wild horses. As their eyes met once more, Blaze approached him, lowering its head to nuzzle his hand. Richard's eyes welled with tears, knowing their bond remained unbroken. Sanctuary staff marveled at the connection between the two, calling it nothing short of extraordinary. Back at home, Richard found a renewed sense of purpose. He dusted off his old camera and began capturing the beauty of the valley once again, his photos now infused with the spirit of resilience and hope that Blaze had given him. Word of Richard and Blaze's story spread, inspiring others in the community to appreciate the wild beauty around them. Richard's life, once defined by loss and isolation, had been transformed by the presence of a wild stallion. Blaze had not only given him a reason to live, but also reminded him of the unbreakable bond between humans and nature. And though Blaze now roamed free in the sanctuary, its spirit remained with Richard, a constant reminder that even in the face of life's greatest challenges, hope and connection can light the way forward. If this story touched your heart, remember to cherish the unexpected connections in life. They may just change everything.